What's up guys, Tony here. Welcome back to another Tony Talks, where originally the idea was going to be maybe talk about some new characters being added into For Honor, but according to the dev stream, looks like that's probably not going to happen.
Right now we're more focused on the reworks and doing other things, but that doesn't mean we will never reintroduce new heroes. It's just not the time for now.
So, with this information, we'll take it to the rework side of For Honor. You know, they seem to be putting a lot of emphasis into the reworks, trying to see which characters need a little oomph to get them up to, you know, a more decent level with like DLC characters that have been added in, people with more basic movesets when the game released, to try to put them up there with some of the greats in the game. So, these are just going to be some of my opinions about the reworks, which characters need a rework, and then I'm going to say which characters I think need the reworks first. Obviously, this is my opinion. You guys can feel free to voice anything else in the comments below as to why you think maybe these characters don't need the reworks right yet, or maybe why a different character needs a rework over them. So, we'll get right into this. Now, first off, looking at the entire character list of For Honor, I'm gonna go through which characters I think need a rework just in total. Okay, so we're gonna X off the characters that got a rework in Season 5, that being Kensei, Berserker, and Conqueror. Now we're also gonna cross out Highlander, because I think Highlander's in a pretty good state right now. His option with the Celtic Curse, instead of having to go into the heavy attack, being able to go into either his kicks or just in his offensive mode in general, makes him pretty good. I think Highlander's in a pretty good spot right now. Now, in addition to this, I'm going to actually X off Shaman, and I'm going to X off Gladiator, because I feel like those characters are still doing pretty decent right now. Shaman doesn't feel as strong as she once was, but she still feels pretty strong, and Gladiator can definitely deal with people in his own right. Now, that leaves the rest of the characters up on the table. Now, do I think all of these characters maybe necessarily need a rework? Potentially, but not necessarily for sure. Some of them could benefit from some minor buffs and tweaks, but I think you know, if you wanted to argue the fact of a rework for the rest of these characters, I think you could make some very valid points. Now, for this video specifically, I'm going to take a look into 3 characters that I think need the reworks the most, and to start this one off, we're going to go into the Valkyrie. Now, the Valkyrie has kind of just been a character that hasn't gotten talked about, like, at all since the game came out. When the game came out, Valkyrie was probably in a mid B tier, and it's just very, very slowly just kind of went down in the tiers. Like, maybe she was high B tier, and then she was like mid B tier, low B tier, and then CB tier, and CB tier, and then high C tier, rather, I should say, and then she's just kind of felt like she's pretty much non-existent at this point. You don't find many Valkyrie players going out there. So the main thing that's really bad with the Valkyrie, we can go over her strengths and weaknesses, right? Okay, strengths with the Valkyrie is she has mix-up potential, right? She has the ability to do a shoulder bash into GB, into sweep, into a light attack, things like that. She has mix-up potential. She has decent speed on her light attacks, but that's the real strengths for the character. You know, there's not really much more going for after that. Yeah, she does have a deflect pin bleed that does a lot of damage because you get a confirmed light after it. That does pretty well, but not everybody is really good at deflecting or whatnot, so we'll just say that that's not really a strength of the character. Now, the weaknesses of the character, the biggest outstanding weakness for Valkyrie is that she does no damage. I think her heavies do somewhere around 20 or 25 damage, which is pretty darn low compared to the rest of them. She probably needs a buff on that for sure. Of it, probably, you know, 10 damage would be sufficient. And in addition to that, like, I think her light attacks don't do that much damage either. That's the main thing holding Valkyrie back, is that she does not do much damage. And like I mentioned with the shrink, she does have mix-up potential. These mix-ups can be pretty telegraphed. You can honestly just eat a shoulder bash and you can wait for that sweep, and the sweep has gotten pretty easy to dodge, honestly. If they go right for it, you can see the animation of the character going down and you know to dodge. If not, you know they're probably gonna GB you. So you can predict a lot of the things with Valkyrie. It kind of seems a bit more telegraphed with her mix-ups, so she's just kind of struggling altogether. I think that she needs some more like range to her attacks, and maybe some just more bleeds or something, kind of emphasize the use of her spear. You know, I'm not really going to go into depth like what moves I think they should get, but I think Valkyrie is really struggling right now due to the fact that she doesn't do as much damage as other characters, and she really needs some love in there. Now, the next character we're going to talk about is going to be the Orochi. The Orochi has been basically the same the entire time For Honor has been out, and that's been very reliant on the top light, the double top light, and the zone attack. Those are still the strongest moves with the Orochi. In addition to this, I mean, the deflects can be pretty good if used correctly and by a good player. You know, you do have the option to do a light deflect or a heavy deflect, and I believe that's the only character that allows you to switch between options on a deflect, have more than one move that you're able to do. So main thing with the Orochi is he just basically needs more directions to attack from. If you just have your guard on the top or the right side, you're gonna block 90% of the attacks. And being an assassin, they can't really spam out attacks quite as much. Let's just compare it to PK. PK, you know, can do a little bit of light spam, let's just say a little bit of a fast light attacks on there. Orochi tries throwing out a side light. Nah, forget about it, sir. That's gonna get parried. The dodge attack on the Orochi is very slow as well, and just a lot of stuff gets punished if you're using the side attack. So definitely needs to get some improved attacks to the sides. Maybe do some sort of unblockable finisher to the sides that can be, you know, feinted, or they can cancel into a different attack. Something that like that you know, actually makes people fearful of the Orochi attacking to more sides than that, and just making the gameplay not as predictable from the character. And the next character, though, I want to talk about too is Shigoki. Now, Shigoki is near and dear to my heart because I consider him to be my second main. Might be a little bit of bias in this, I'm not gonna lie, but I do think the character needs it for this simple fact. He has 5 damaging moves, that being light attacks, heavy attacks, charged heavy attacks, zone, and Demon's Embrace. Those are all of the damaging attacks right there on Shigoki, and he only has 2 combos, light heavy or heavy heavy, which are all pretty telegraphed, to be completely honest. Right now, Shigoki is kind of annoying to fight against, though. He relies way too much on the hyper armor, and I would agree with that. You know, it's nothing's more annoying than you throwing out an attack, getting a connection, and then Shigoki just GBs you and throws you into a wall. Believe me, I get it, I understand it, I think it's kind of a dumb mechanic, but based on the moveset of the character, I think he's kind of put into this scenario. You know, he doesn't have really much to work with, and the attacks are quite slow. You can do a little bit of a mix-up with some of the charging of the heavies, you know, throw a normal heavy, charge it up a little bit more to kind of throw off some of the timing, but you know, that doesn't always work as well if you have a person who knows how to play defensive. Being defensive is Shigoki's weakness. You know, you just wait for the attacks, and they are very easy to parry and block, and he can't do much to you. So they definitely need to work him some more moves on him, being more of, you know, like a heavy hitter. Maybe do a little bit more with the combo work, because light heavy and heavy heavy is not too many options to try to do stuff. Even if you try to throw feints in, it doesn't work out too well. The zone is pretty slow as well, and you know, Oni charge is practically useless at this point, except if you try to like push people off of a ledge who are kind of close to it. So he just needs a revamped moveset, and just needs some more added to it. And I would actually like to see them take off the hyper armor of Shigoki and maybe emphasize him more on being like, you know, a more heavy hitter, you know, kind of keep a trade with him, but not have him completely reliant on hyper armor to get most of his trades off there, because it puts him into kind of a boring play style in some aspects when you're going up against people. But you know, he definitely needs changes as well. Now, these were the characters that I think needed the changes immediately. I know some people have been arguing for that of like Warden and Centurion and Shinobi. I think would probably be the most 3 that I've seen before. And I would say, yeah, definitely these characters do need changes. I think after this first wave of changes, we're going to probably see, I mean, we might see Warden, honestly. Now, I don't know the exact the exact people that they're going to be rolling out with this next wave of reworks. I've seen a lot of people talking about Warden though, and I think Warden is definitely a character that needs some fixing. He needs some more options, not, again, kind of like Shigoki. While Shigoki is put into that hyper armor role, Warden is kind of put into that 50-50 shield bash, not shield bash, shoulder charge play style, which obviously if you didn't have to use it, people probably wouldn't want to use it that frequently, and just spamming it over and over. And he needs some more, make him look like a knight, not a freaking slidey speed demon or whatever through there. It just doesn't seem to fit the character that well. He'll definitely get a rework in the future. However, there is one thing that I'm kind of a little bit skeptical about. They did say in the Warriors Den most recently that they might not have as many reworks this next season as they did in the first one, and that got me thinking either they needed to fix a lot more on the characters that they were reworking, and doing animations they had to add a lot more in, or just simply they couldn't meet like timetables for them, or they hadn't started working on those ones previously along with the ones in season 5. But I hope at least we get 2 at the start. I mean, if we got less reworks in season 6 as a total than we did season 5, I'd kind of consider that a letdown. Not gonna sugarcoat it. I would consider it a bit of a letdown. I think we need at least 3 to go through there. My ideal number would be 5, but honestly, I understand that I'm not a game developer. This stuff takes time. They have to get approval for shit through like the console stuff, through Sony and Microsoft, all that stuff. I understand that, yeah. So I can't be too hard on them, but we do need these changes for them to come through. And again, just throwing this out there like I did in my Warriors Den recap, they said there is a big change coming, so that is going to keep us playing the game. So hopefully they're working on something super crazy if they haven't put all of their time and resources into the reworks. And we obviously do have arena mode coming out, so that'll be something to look forward to later in April. But yeah, guys, this was basically the video I wanted to go over. Characters that need a rework ASAP are going to be, in my opinion, Valkyrie, Orochi, and Shigoki. I think those are kind of the low tier heroes right now, but honestly, everyone except maybe 6 or 7 characters could use a rework, and probably should get one at some point. When that is, I can't say. Just like how on the Warriors Den they can't say a lot about what they're doing. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what characters you want to see get reworked, and if you got any ideas on what needs to be added to them to make them more effective as a character in total, leave that in the comments below. I'd be very interested to read what you guys have to say. Now, as always, my name is Tony. I'm going to talk to you in the next one. Peace.